What's up, LSU fans? My name is Bryce Koon alongside Matthew Brune, where the LSU Tigers suffer one of the most humiliating defeats in the Brian Kelly era to the hands of the Texas A&M Aggies. Double-digit loss, nightmarish second half after a first half that really saw you gain some momentum. You got outgained, but you went into the break leading 18-14. LSU would not score again until 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, a minute left in the game.
In the game with Michael Van Buren throwing a pass to Kyle Parker. Incredible catch by Kyle Parker.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was too late. LSU, the fans had filed out. The Aggie fans had taken over. Texas A&M students had taken over the LSU student section. And it was eerily resembling last year's loss to Alabama. Brune, you and our good friend Zach Nagy said it eerily resembled a little bit of the takeover of Tennessee a couple of years ago when the Volunteers came in here on a day.
3-4 years ago.
Yeah, a day kickoff and knocked off LSU in resounding fashion. Let's just start here. We spoke with Brian Kelly and the postgame press conference, and just all in all, this loss encapsulates the kind of season I think LSU's having right now. It's very disappointing. I don't know if the word is shocking. That's something I plan to ask on Monday in the press conference. Has this surprised you, how bad this has been? But just in terms of what we saw on the field tonight and where this program is, I think we have to start with the future of what we're going to see here, because Brian Kelly answered some questions about his future. He lamented that the fan base should be upset and should be mad, but did say the buck stops with him. We know that. Will changes come. I guess just all in all, what's your gut initial reaction to what we witnessed here this afternoon and this evening?
Do you want a game perspective, or do you want a
Let's go game and then big picture.
Okay.
Yeah, and what it means for the big picture.
Yeah, I picked LSU to win this game, and a lot of that was because of Tiger Stadium behind us. A lot of that was because of Death Valley. A lot of that was because maybe a personal bias against A&M. I'm sorry. I apologize to our fans. But regardless, I actually went into this game in the first half. It went how I expected the game to go. Like, that is how I expected the game to go. LSU was not the better team. We knew that coming in. We knew LSU was not going to be clean. They weren't going to convert all these opportunities. They weren't going to take advantage of every opportunity that A&M gave them. But somehow, some way, they were going to find a way. The defense, 2 interceptions, a punt block for a safety. Like, those things, like some penalties for A&M. I thought Marcel Reed started to lose control of the offense at times. And that's how I expected the entire game to go. That's how the first half went.
Yeah.
And they were only up 4, 18-14. And they had to settle for some field goals, and it just wasn't enough. And then the second half came, and it was exactly like the second half last year.
Carbon copy.
Where they were running these jet sweep read options. They were running regular read options. Marcel Reed was running, and it was exactly what we saw last year, where their defense was not good enough. And to be frank, I mean, from a coaching perspective, you still don't have them ready to stop Marcel Reed's legs, where he runs for over 100 yards. I have folded up this paper too many times now, but he ran for over 100 yards, passed for over 200 yards, and he just dominated the game. So the second half was absolutely abysmal from a coaching perspective. It looked like they came out with renewed energy, and LSU just came out flat. And from a coaching perspective, I thought they just got completely outcoached. So, first half, I thought we never thought they were the better team.
Yeah.
But it was like, hold on, I saw Ole Miss last year do the same thing. Like, they hung around, and then all of a sudden they miraculously get a win. I thought that could be in the cards. I was wrong.
I leaned over once again to Zach Nagy, sits next to us in the press box, and I told him, I said, if LSU's going to win this, and I said this at halftime, you're going to have to see what happened to Ole Miss a year ago here. Mistakes, not taking advantage of opportunities. Not committing to the run, maybe a little bit. Texas A&M leaned into the run in that second half, especially that opening drive. Look, we can talk about this idea of where LSU is and why this loss is disappointing. You know why it is. I'm not going to insult our audience here of why this is disappointing. Your season is now effectively over before the month of November. Historically, LSU, and obviously during our lifetime, when you watched LSU from afar, you and I didn't grow up in this state.
Yeah.
That game against Alabama that now is 2 weeks away. Little woodpecker outside. That game against Alabama in 2 weeks, that was something where you said, all right, for the SEC West race, who's getting to Atlanta? Oftentimes that game determined it.
Correct.
This game against Alabama in 2 weeks, I don't want to say it's meaningless, It's not. I hate to say that, but it kind of is. There's no postseason hopes for LSU. I think that's the shocking thing for me. Your season is over before Halloween. This is a big issue. This is a problem. And, Brune, I do want to commend you because 2 to 3 weeks ago, you sat on our live show on Sunday night, which will be amazing. This is awesome. And we sat there and said, hey, are they prepared on the road? Are they not? And you emphatically told Shay and I they have never really been prepared on the road. Yeah. The shocking thing for me is in your home place, in your building, you did not look prepared. That is you can call it culture fit, whatever. That's a coaching fundamental football issue that this program has. It's a part of their identity.
Yeah, the funny thing, and I wrote about this in the post-game story that I wrote, y'all go check it out, was when Brian Kelly was hired, it was, okay, well, we're getting an adult here. We're going to be physical. We're going to be prepared. Like, there's going to be no nonsense anymore. And you come out here and watch that team. You watch the teams that play on the road constantly under Brian Kelly, and I wouldn't say they're prepared. I wouldn't say they're physical. Well, they're definitely not physical. They get punched in the face. They don't respond constantly. Yeah. The other team makes adjustments. You don't make coaching adjustments back. You're constantly on the back foot. Yes, you've regressed. And so now we're looking at a team that is now 5-3, staring 5-4 in the eye when you play Alabama. And honestly, you look at the schedule and you don't see many wins left here, which again is getting a little farther ahead. But I do think, to go back to that physicality point, we watched the game right there, and we watch every game. Vanderbilt, pretty much any game where they play a competent offense or a competent team, they're getting pushed around. Yeah. Just constantly pushed around. Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and now this game, they've just pushed them around. And like you said, the reason why A&M was able to separate themselves in this game was because they didn't try to do too much in the second half. They just said, we're just going to run the ball, and you're going to have to stop us. And we know you can't because we're stronger than you. Yeah. We're more physical than you, and we're tougher than you. And that's what LSU has become under Brian Kelly. And that's the most damning part.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. When Brian Kelly was first hired, you needed someone to stabilize the program. And I think you can say this program has been stabilized to a certain point. Like, you're not where you were, essentially, and kind of flailing in no man's land. You are stagnant, I think, as a program right now, though. I would think that's fair to say. Like, I don't think that Brian Kelly is the person to get you where you need to go and where you ultimately go. That's just my take.
I agree.
To the point of the physicality aspect, you know, the broadcast obviously shows a lot of different clips. You're up there kind of clipping some things as well. I mentioned to you, like, A&M's defensive line. Like, they knew. It's scary to think about when you have a team that you're facing and they know they've got you.
Yeah.
A&M knew that they had LSU's number. Scores 18-14. I guarantee you, Mike Elko walked into that halftime locker room and said, we're good, guys.
Yeah.
And LSU probably walked in feeling good, but you knew at the end of the day, we've seen them not make adjustments. And I want to talk about this right here because I think this was just atrocious. Offensive play calling in that second half was unlike anything I've ever seen.
That's the worst I've ever seen.
It's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you're throwing not even 5-yard. I mean, you're throwing things in the
either
flat.
Screens or short routes, and not all of them were because of, like, I understand being scared of protection, but that's not an excuse at this point. Yeah. The play calling in terms of the run game was the most infuriating to me. Harlem Berry, 9 for 59, I believe he ended the game with. I mean, dude, he's averaging 6+ yards a carry. And I understand he was asked about it. He said, well, we fell behind. He had 1 carry in the second half. One. And even when you fall behind, 28-18, you can still run the ball. You're not sitting here. They went 5 wide a bunch. They were just scared to run the ball. It's like that's the only way you were moving the ball. The one good drive that they had,
you were balanced.
They were balanced. Harlem Berry breaks a run. You're able to move the chains on an 8-yard run, then a 4-yard run. And then Nussmeier is freed up to throw the ball around. Like, that's the only way you can move the ball. They are scared. They're scared of trying to run the ball continuously because they're afraid maybe they take a negative play. They're afraid. But, dude, they can't block. They couldn't block Howell. They couldn't block the edges. Yeah. And you are doing yourself a complete disservice not trying to at least run behind Kern or Davis or something like that in terms of helping them out. I just couldn't believe the lack of run game. Just it seemed like they were just afraid of it. And they gave up on it way too quickly, which has been a theme under Joe Sloan.
And I would say this to that point. You know, Kelly mentioned that they fell behind. Well, I mean, I would argue that Harlan Berry's your best overall back right now, and maybe your best option out of the backfield in pass catching. I don't quite understand that in terms of what you
And
can
it's
do.
not like they're throwing the ball down the field, dude. It's like they're throwing these screens and stuff that are
Yeah.
extensions of the run game, right?
You need someone to make somebody miss,
Yeah.
and he gives you that best
It's
option.
not like you're chucking the ball 25 yards down the field looking for an explosive play. You're not. And to not give Berry a chance to break one, a chance to get 6 yards, just to get ahead of the chains. It's embarrassing. That was the worst play calling I've seen in a long time.
Obviously, yeah, it's bad, and it culminates, I think, at the end of that first half. We've seen in two big games, Clemson and now this game against Texas A&M, where Joe Sloan, Garrett Nussmeier, Brian Kelly, I mean, the whole offensive staff is not on the same page.
Correct.
Time after time, you are calling timeouts. You're having panic timeouts. Look, that's on your quarterback. Like, his inability to be able to make a check or a change, you are a fifth-year senior.
Yeah,
like, you have to
down.
do that. He can't calm things down. That's on him. Now, there's a lot of issues to go around. That's on number 18 for you.
Yep.
The issue, and obviously people saw it, I posted the clip of it, Brian Kelly, and I'm planning on asking this on Monday. Brian Kelly, choice words, frustration words for Joe Sloan there in terms of what going into the half. Brian Kelly told us earlier this week that he has veto power. So how does that work? Respectfully, like you told us that this week, veto power works. There were several opportunities where you knew you couldn't call that play. And I mean, the whole offensive play calling for this entire season, I think you could look at that one sequence and say that is the issue. For those that don't know, LSU has to call a timeout with 20-something seconds remaining
left, I believe it was.
It's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. You throw a 3 or 4 yard pass inbounds. Like he's not really close to the boundary.
It was like a screen. It was a flat route.
It was a flat route. You're throwing that. If he gets tackled in bounds, you're going to have to run a fire drill to get your kicker on the field who's already missed a PAT.
Yeah.
Nothing like that sets it up. Brian Kelly lets his offensive coordinator know as much. And so, Brune, we can sit here and debate like, hey, look, this is where I sit with this. And I wrote about this kind of where I think this program is at a crossroads, and I think the Brian Kelly era has hit a breaking point. Changes have to be made.
Yep.
We're recording this on Saturday. A lot of you will watch this into the wee hours of Sunday morning and maybe further. There has to be some type of tangible change made because what's happening is not working. It has not worked. There are enough data points to support that, and something has to give. Here's the thing. How far do you go in those changes? I think that's the only question I have now is it just we wake up tomorrow and we see that there's a new offensive coordinator, there's a new offensive line coach stepping in, Alex Atkins is shifting over, or – and here's the big one, the big fish in this pond that we call Death Valley. Are you going to make the big change, eat the money, and put yourselves into this race now for a new head coach? That's a lot of conversation, maybe for another podcast, another day. But I think that after this performance and how we saw these things happen again and again and after again, it's the same issues. You've got to ask that question. Tonight and into tomorrow, with the highest brass of LSU, you are going to have some of those tough conversations about what is this program going to be going forward.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I just watched this team play football, and I think about the investment that was made into this team and this program this offseason. Yeah. It was, before this year, it was we can't win big because we don't have the investment of the other teams. You had the investments this year, right? Lane Kiffin talked about it. We talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. You go look at the NIL transfer or the transfer portal rankings, all that stuff. You had the buy-in this year. You had what you thought was a good defense that is now in 3 games against actual offenses with the pulse has been terrible. I shouldn't say terrible. Has not been good. Well, hell, they allowed how many 49 points
They're
today.
not good.
Yeah, it was not good. And then the offense continues to have the same issues. The investment that you had to keep Nussmeier, to keep Perkins, to add these receivers out of the portal, it's all for naught at this point. And if as boosters, as LSU, LSU's not Texas, right? They're not Oregon. They're not these teams that are just dripping money out of their hands. You go all in like this in a year, and we're looking at 7-5, 8-4 at best case scenario at this point. Like, we're looking at that. No, you have to look at the big picture. You can't just say, oh, well, we'll just re-up it next year. Yeah. Well, no, you're going to we don't even got to talk about next year in terms of all the players that are leaving, the whole defense, Nussmeier.
Yeah.
I mean, all these players that are even gone. So you're gonna have to spend a ton of more money into this. So instead of doing that, you have to look at the
Hit
coach.
the reset button.
You have to look at the coaching staff, and so. Again, it is a conversation for another day, but I think it's all completely valid, and I think it's all on the table at this point. I understand the buyout is what it is, but conversations at the very least will be had. I don't know when it will be made, but it's raining. Raining in Death Valley. That's appropriate.
We've got a grasshopper as our producer tonight.
We do have a grasshopper right behind the camera.
It's raining outside Death Valley. Let's wrap it up right here and talk about this. LSU falls. What is next?
Can we talk real quick about the defense? I don't think.
Yeah, let's talk defense.
I don't think we talked enough
about
it. Yeah, go ahead. Oh God.
Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of draft value he has at this point. I don't know what type of value he has to this team.
Yes.
Harold Perkins plays himself out of plays. I'm going to say it again, and we can get ripped again online. Your linebacking core is undisciplined, and they are not fast and athletic enough to keep up with what you saw tonight. This was an offense that could make you pay, and that includes Harold Perkins, who had to play some inside backer tonight.
They started the game in a 4-2-5, if you want to call it, with Perkins playing inside, or you could just call it the dime package or the 4-1-6 type stuff if you consider Perkins
I don't even know what I consider him at this
Regardless,
point.
he was playing alongside West Weeks, and Devon Keys was not on the field, and we're like, okay, this is interesting. So maybe you're trying to get quicker, maybe you're trying to cover more. It still didn't work. Nothing worked.
And then let's add into this. Look, I'm just going to say it like this. I'm going to have to go back and watch the game. I don't think your DBs played terrible. They have elite receivers. Concepcion is elite at what he does. Mario Craver might be the shiftiest receiver in the SEC.
And then he had that one-handed catch.
And the one-handed catch they've showed 14 times here on the SEC Network. They also had a couple of unreal plays. But here's the thing for me. You have no pass rush. And this is why Brune and I hit so hard on this. Losing Gabe Relaford was massively detrimental to this defense. Let's just go through the list. Jack Pyburn does not have pass rush moves. He tries to bully his way to the quarterback. Yeah. That's why he has been a good run defender in his career. That was the whole point of him coming here. Could Kevin Peoples develop him? That has not happened. Patrick Payton affects games in a certain way. Yeah. He is not a featured pass rusher in the SEC.
No.
So you don't have that. Behind those guys, Jamari Butler, I think, is a serviceable rotational guy. Yeah. Behind those guys, Dylan Carpenter, look, all these feel-good stories, and we get to talk a lot of these players, and I'm not trying to single out kids and harp on them. You don't have a legitimate pass rusher. You had that last year with Braden Swinson. Yeah. Swinson popped off. In the interior, you just couldn't get enough push, man. You didn't win one-on-one battles up front, and Texas A&M's offensive line was good, and you just handed them so much time, and it hurt your DBs, who I think are the most talented group on this defense in terms of God-given talent.
But they're asked to do a little bit too much.
You can't guard for 7-8 seconds.
Yeah. And then when
ridiculous.
They did play man, Marcel had time, and he had running lanes. It was just all around a mess. But anyways, I think you covered it well.
Sorry, I didn't.
No,
yeah.
That's all. I just wanted to make sure that was that's a terrible defense performance from a team that we thought, a unit that we thought was really good.
Yeah.
Now we have 3 data points of Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and this. In reality, they just played really bad offenses. Sorry, Clemson, South Carolina, Florida.
It scares me to know what Florida would have done with Dallas Wilson. I'll just say that. I will, as we kind of wrap things up here, I will say I am more disappointed in this offense than the defense because maybe we did get out ahead of ourselves with this defense. But there are still tangible things to tell you that they are better than last year. There has been improvement. We might have gotten out ahead of our little selves. They're not the best defense. They're probably not a top 10 defense in the country. Correct. They might be a top 25 group unit-wise. I will say this, though. This offense, this is utterly ridiculous. This is embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing. And just talking with some people post-game, it's embarrassing for alumni. It's embarrassing for former players. We've seen them speak out. And it can't continue. And that's why I will say this. I pride myself on not calling for jobs. That's one thing I've never done. You have to make a change. Brian Kelly, if you want to keep your job, you have to make a change at offensive coordinator. You have to make a change at offensive line coach. The only person whose job shouldn't be in jeopardy, probably Frank Wilson from a recruiting standpoint. Yeah. But I will tell you, whoever's decision is with these running back rotations, that needs to be fixed immediately. So I don't typically do that. I know it's not something everyone loves to do. but it's just so blatantly obvious that I don't feel like I'm rushing to this overreaction.
No, I agree. I mean, we've waited however many weeks.
We have waited to say this thing on air.
People have said this, I mean, for weeks on end at this point, especially once the Nussmeier thing changed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, especially once I thought Garrett started playing a little bit better. He still is not good enough to completely overcome the shortcomings of this offense. But offensive line struggles, play calling struggles, all that stuff comes back to Sloan and Brian Kelly. So
We just had someone walk in on us.
that's all right.
Grasshoppers saying we need to cut this. But we will we'll
right
wrap this
behind
up. We will be on the boards tonight. We will be on the boards tomorrow. Will there be news? The best way for you to figure out and stay inside the scoop is myself, Matthew Brune, and Shay Dixon over at the Bengal Tiger. You can get that subscription for $1 for your first week, as well as an annual subscription to The Athletic. LSU falls, devastating, absolutely embarrassing fashion. And what do the Tigers go from here? What does the rest of the season hold? I've heard Western Kentucky's pretty good, so that scares me. Taylor Green could have a field day, maybe with this defense. We'll catch you next time here on the Bengal Tiger Podcast.